welcome. Welcome. My name is Maciek Sadowski. I'm so close to your eyes right now on the screen because I will have a privilege and genuine pleasure to host for you a 55 minutes short discussion with four great investors, mm, insiders of the venture capital high risk market, high tech market in not even Central Eastern Europe, but more specifically the Visegrad region. The Visegrad region, because we today run a little session, a little webinar dedicated to the community of V4 Startup Force, my favorite international or interlocal acceleration program for best founders from four republics. You will know these four republics if you are not aware what exactly Visegrad region contains inside of it. Just in a second, because I am going to present my guests. Right now, they are joining us in the studio. We will have four guests, one guest coming from one of each beautiful country from the Visegrad region. It's going to be Slovakia, Poland, Czech Republic, and Hungary, of course, and obviously. So thank you for actually seeing us and finding time for your lunch with a video streaming from Warsaw, Bratislava, Prague, and Budapest. Very happy to see you all. If you have any questions to our guests, I will be the moderator. I will recognize your questions and certainly put them through to the kind attention of our lovely speakers. Speaking about whom? We have four speakers today. Peter Jan, from the beautiful city of Prague, one of the capital of not only of the Visegrad region, but also of Central Eastern Europe, definitely city connotated with venture capital investments. Petr is a co-founder and a general partner in Start Guide Venture Capital Fund. Hi, Petr.
Hi everyone. Hello.
I will definitely find some time in our busy schedule to let you tell us a little bit more about Start Guide, your main project right now, about how Brno and Prague are leading the investments for not only Czech Republic but also the whole venture capital regions. But Petr is not our sole guest today. He will be accompanied by Andrea Kozma, my personal mentor and a great friend from Hungary. Hi, Andrea, you are already with us.
Hi, thank you for being here and thank you for the nice intro.
The intro is not over, my dear friend, because actually you are, for me, the biggest intellectual challenge, as you have played so important roles in our ecosystem, not only in Hungary, but in the whole region, that it's really difficult for me to choose, some elements of your career, of your curriculum, professional curriculum, but you are well known, for example, to Polish ecosystem as a angel investor, as a manager of many acceleration formats for startups, for engineers, founders. So like leader of a big innovation unit in one of the biggest universities in Central Eastern Europe, the CEU University. So like a really multi-athlete from Olympic Games, Andrea Kozma. I will let you choose some of the picks and also tell our audience about your endeavors and projects. Super nice to see you with us. Big pleasure, big honor. Andrea will also tell us a bit more about the situation of business angeling and venture capital investments in Hungary. But the feature of this meeting is that we will have a opportunity to learn about all countries, all markets, venture capital markets in the Visegrad region. For example, Poland, my country, and here Katarzyna Kowalczyk from 24 Ventures, a brand new venture capital entity, though Katarzyna, hi Kasia, is super experienced investor, one of the being so young, we are from the same generation, but being already one of the nestors of Central Eastern European venture investments, as you were also working in a legendary fund called Satus Ventures, one of the most active in Poland, and you are also a mentor, certainly in many acceleration programs. Also in my personal life, from time to time, I see an email from you because you also evaluate startups which are preparing themselves for investment path, not only in Poland, but in the whole Central Eastern Europe. Kasia, Katarzyna, welcome.
Hi, Maciek. Hi, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course, like who else? Of course, Katarzyna Kowalczyk, always. Thank you, Kasia, really. And last but not least, from a beautiful and shiny city of Bratislava, Adam Durita is also with us. Adam works and runs 0100 uh, um, boutique for investments in not only Slovakia, but the Central Eastern European region, a skilled investor, but also I learned a bit about you during the last weekend, and I reckon that you are quite a persona in the ecosystem, being a mentor, a jury member, a speaker, a keynote speaker. So many, many activities. Maybe since you joined us as a last one, I will start with you, Adam. Could you tell colleagues who maybe there are some colleagues from remote Gdańsk on the north of Visegrad region or somewhere, in on the western side of in Carpathian Czech Republic who doesn't know you, a little bit more about your current projects and how we should remember you after this panel.
All right, so Matsei, thank you for the intro. Hi guys, pleasure to be here. Shortly about myself and basically the 0100 activities. So I'm a GP at 0100. Actually started with the firm since our inception, since our Fund 1 in 2020. Since then, we have done quite the evolution from a local fund into a fund that invests across CEE. Now we have graduated into a fund that has pan-European thesis and also invests in GCC. How I would classify my activities is twofold. So right now we are basically running a platform. Platform has an investment side and event side. On the investment side, currently we are finishing the fundraising of a new fund. It's a 100 million fund, predominantly focused on deep techs. 90% of it is allocated towards Europe, 10% in GCC. We are investing across three theses, that being physical intelligence, human resilience, and new operating norms. So this is one angle. The other one, the platform angle. So we have, since 2014, built two big conference businesses. One being the 0100 conferences, which was the second largest conference organizer for VCMP conferences in Europe. And we also have Duris Company, which organizes tech events across Europe and GCC. So we have one in Dubai, one in Athens, one in Cyprus, Limassol. And basically, this platform side allows us to basically give extended value add to our portfolio. So yeah, this is just super quickly and broadly speaking about who we are as a fund and what we do as a platform, but also happy to then dive deeper in the discussions.
Good, lovely. And the same request, I will follow up with Kasia, Katarzyna. Kasia is abbreviation from Katarzyna. Katarzyna is a well-known Latin word, but in Poland we usually say Kasia to just show the friendly relations that we have with the owner of the name Kasia. I mentioned that Satus, your former fund, was really legendary because the first investment went when 15, 14 years ago, like really long time ago, and you built one of the strongest portfolio in Poland. Can you tell us a little bit about the transition from Satus to 24 Ventures?
Yes, Satus is quite a long-term brand in the venture capital market in Poland. And that was a company based in Krakow, several years of investments, many different funds that were managed by different managing partners. And we had the privilege to manage Satus Starter since 2020. And that fund is fully invested now. And last year, me and my partners decided to start our own brand, 24 Ventures. That fund started to invest last year. We've got already 5 investments. 3 has been already announced. So currently I'm deeply involved in this investment phase, in sourcing projects, and also networking, which is always important in this industry, networking with business angels, with other VCs, and then meeting a founders who try to challenge the market.
And Kasia, additional question, just to warm up also our way of thinking for this session today, for this webinar. Any investment in your or your partner's portfolio to Visegrad founders, but non-Polish founders, Czechs, Slovaks, Hungarians?
Not yet. It is quite tricky because we have, apart from private money, also public money, and we need to invest in companies that are headquartered in Poland. But still, there can be founders from Czechoslovakia and other countries that think that Poland is a good company, a good country to start with the company. So not yet, but hopefully in the future.
Yeah, we will be covering this topic. Many regional grants or national grants, national subsidies do not allow general partners, vehicles to invest outside of their own jurisdictions, which is a pain. I think European Union should really come here and let us work across nations, but we also have fully private investors here, and we also have nestors of the whole high-risk investment and innovative scene like Andrea. I'm thinking about you a little bit more about your current projects, apart from what I already have said in the intro, little intro at the beginning.
Yeah, so I have spent more than 10 years in various incubation programs, helping very early stage startups getting to the stage of becoming investable. So that was 7 years in the university, as you mentioned. And after that, I have joined a group of angel investors, and we have created a kind of fund for early stage startups, which then went on a stock exchange. And the idea was to raise funds from private investors with the help of the stock exchange, which in turn we have invested in early stage startups. From this year, I have gone privately completely. So I'm helping. I'm helping startups on a very selective and individual basis, and I continue to teach entrepreneurship and innovation in the Central European University in Vienna.
All right, thank you very much. And last but not least, we started with you, Petr, and right now the introduction ends with you. So start guide. I made my research, but if you were for a second a PR communication, officer in your fund, could you tell us some highlights about what we should really remember from start guide interaction with you?
Yeah, hi again, everyone. About Stargate. Stargate started like 4 years ago, like idea about how we can invest not just money, but also our time, our experiences from the past. And that was main reason why we done it this fund. And we done it first vintage, and we already closed the investment in from the first vintage. That was during last year. We finished this, and we learn a lot, and we also evaluate. And right now, opening not just the fund, but we are opening a startup studio, which will be helping founders from the beginning through the pre-early stage phases to the seed stage, and really helps them going forward. And this is our approach, because how I said, we never have been just investors. We all time have been also hands-on and advisors with the funds. This is
all right. Thank you very much. So as you, our community members who are right now watching us being live streamed, as you already see, we have quite a constellation of stars from Central and Eastern Europe, from the Visegrad region, 4 republics, 4 backgrounds, and 4 sets of experiences. And yet I have one question which actually exceeds our region. It's a question about United States of America. There are many. Mexico is also United States of Mexico. So United States of America, to be very precise. Many numerous friends of mine who are also like us venture capitalists, and they are working them. They say the best projects, because of the force of gravity, will always emerge in American jurisdiction, either in Delaware or somewhere else, physically in the Valley, Austin, Boston. So eventually, we will get the best people there in US. So right now, I want to ask every one of you, and maybe we'll start with Adam. What are the reasons for you as an investor to run your operations in Europe, in the Visegrad region, and not take $1,000 ticket to New York City? Probably from, I checked from Bratislava, it's like $1,500 today. So tomorrow you could start over in New York investing in the best startup. So what actually forced you intellectually to stay in our region and invest locally in local startups?
Well, I think the reason is pretty simple. If you go to US and you don't have outstanding credibility, especially in terms of exits, as a founder, no chance that you will do any good deal at pre-seed. There is just so much competition in US that you just don't have any chance. So if you don't exit your startup for a couple $100 million, $1 billion, and so on, and you don't basically go there, or if you are so hungry that you will just join any other fund, but if you just go there and try to compete with the local funds who already have the networks or are part of the big platforms such as A16Z, Sequoia, or whoever else, who will always overpay you and can basically afford doing deals almost at any price as long as they hit them. I mean, you have no chance of competing. Even in the Valley, you have 20 great pre-seed investors, which there is also almost nobody of this caliber in Europe. Maybe a few. So that's why I think Europe still is a playground that you can play in, and whether it's Europe as a whole, whether it's CEE, whether it's just Visegrad 4, there are still deals to be made, and there is still an allocation to be had in the good startups, which in US, you are almost fucked. It's very hard to get into deals.
All right. I got it actually quite loud, and I see your point. Yet, Andrea, you just said you started or you intensified your business angel activity in, as I understand, in Budapest, or you also do things in Vienna? No,
Yeah,
in Budapest.
just to reflect on what the others said before me, I think it's a very expensive exercise to go to the United States. I think all startups should be able to raise their first round, their pre-seed round in the country and in the locality where they are from, and depending on the product, if it is a product that is easily scalable. Obviously, every investor's dream is a startup which is born global, which has the ability and the product itself position the startup to scale globally. But projects are different. Not all of them is like that. And I think many projects, for many projects, it is really the rule of thumb that they should be able to raise their first round of pre-seed investment locally.
All right, I got it. So we have already what Adam said, that you need to really have a good track record to survive and to be trusted in the US. Andrea adds it's an expensive exercise. Usually it's better to use the fact that the first pre-seed round should be in your local neighborhood. Kasia, from your perspective, because I think you have a track record good enough to simply start over and enjoy the best ROI heavy startups in the US. Yet you still are in the Visegrad region.
I totally agree with my followers, and the deal flow for the fund is a very valuable part of building the final created value. So it would be very difficult without network and references to have a good deal flow in the USA. And just to add to this discussion, Poland and other Visegrad countries have always been famous for their tech competences regarding people. Sometimes it is mentioned that the selling competences are maybe less developed, but definitely those R&D technical side is top notch. So if we want to find such a product with good mode that are technical driven, investing in Poland and other countries here in the region is a very good place to start with.
All right, all right. Even though, as the legend, as the myth says,
Mm.
the biggest returns on investments are in the US. Because I could think possibly, all right, so I will sacrifice the big cost that Andrea says. I will sacrifice the local participation, the local, insight that is good. We have it. Americans don't have it. And I will simply go there because one good unicorn will pay me off all of the cruelties of the life and costs I need to commit. But Adam, your perspective, anything to add? Sorry, Peter, of course, Peter. Adam already started. Peter.
My perspective is still, if you will go to the US, you have to still thinking first. You have to prove it your concept, and even if you will be super high skill and everything, you need to somehow have the money for the proving this concept. And I don't believe somebody in the US will give you this money without proving this concept. And very often, if you are from Central and Eastern European countries, that's you have even a little bit harder to get there. And how everybody said, and one thing it's super important: if you are in this region, still you have some social context which you can use to go there and to, for example, test the, especially if you are enterprise solution or something deep tech, you can test your concept in some companies, and this is super valuable. And if you don't have this social network, it will be much more harder. You don't understand the culture, you don't understand everything, and everybody say we can learn it. Yes, you can learn it, but every learning costs something.
Good. So it smoothly transits me to my next question, and it's still I'm so sorry for being such a pessimist. I want rather to act as a pessimist or as a criticizing guy, so that you can shine as those optimists who are giving good reasons to actually work with local accelerators like V4 Startup Force, with local venture capital funds like your very selves, with business angels networks. And the question is, okay, do you hear sometimes at conferences, at panels, during lunches that you eat together with startups? Sometimes you want to meet founders, that our region is all right to finance the pre-seed and maybe seed round, but later the best projects, by the need of the development, actually are forced to move somewhere else, to Munich, to London, to Paris, if not to United States. So my question is it a structural disadvantage of our region that we cannot hold these companies because we cannot support bigger rounds? Or maybe it's actually our value because we can have a very strong connotation, very strong reputation, like a seed Eldorado, where the cost efficiency of engineers is very good, where there is infrastructure, safe European jurisdiction, great historical sites, and great standard of life. How is that? Kasia, maybe we'll go with you. You are from Wrocław, also one of the capitals of the Visegrad region. Does the fact that we cannot really support bigger round A, B, C, Series A, Series B, Series C, makes us weaker in comparison to French colleagues or German colleagues, or not really?
So I think the depth of the wallets of regional investors is kind of a challenge for our market, because we've got a good early stage financing, especially since the new flow of the public money. But although there have been created new funds like with 100 million euro capitalization to invest in later stages, still for the companies that want to grow really globally, probably they would need to attract the money from the capital from abroad. And if we
Kasia, sorry
can,
for interrupting. Attract capital to their companies incorporated in Czech Republic, in Slovakia, in Poland, in Hungary, or pack the backpacks and move to Munich, for example, or to Stockholm?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. Probably we all would like to want to stay them in Poland, pay taxes here in Poland. But sometimes companies choose to relocate or have some branches in Poland or in the local country as well. But to think like more long term, we still need those success stories that companies from Poland. That company from Poland became a unicorn, decacorn, whatever, and that would help other companies to attract money from foreign investors as well.
Cool. Petr, I saw your body language being negative here. Fast comment, and then we jump to Andrea.
Fast comment. I agree. We need to have or all the investments from the last after seed investors needs to be from outside, but I don't believe they need to move. The companies needs to move there. I mean, still can be in Czech Republic and still can get the money, but yes, of course, in some cases, if you, for example, partially don't move to US, if this is your major market, it start be harder and harder because there is, I think, difficulties about the processes, etc., etc. But if you don't have these difficulties, it's still you can stay in the region. But what I would like to say is still we need to start thinking about how much where we can do the IPO, and that's the problem in the Europe, and not just our countries, but in the Europe there is no strong like market how you can do it, the IPOs, and this is the reason why we are so many times pushing to move to US, etc., because there is some chance to get this high money back.
Got it, Andrea?
I just wanted to reflect on what you mentioned, that it's whether it's a structural issue in our region that startups go abroad when they get to the scale-up phases, and I think it is. I just looked at the Hungarian Venture Capital Association statistics before this call. They don't yet have the full 2025 data yet, but for the first half of the year, the total amount invested in Hungary was 87 million euro.
Wow.
That's little. Okay, so it's what I see happening in Hungary is that at the pre-seed round there is investment, but by the time the companies need seed or further amount, a second round, the third round, the money is simply not there. It's simply not there. So they have to go and find the money outside the country. And what usually happens if it's a German or a French or a UK investor who leads an investment, they are very uncomfortable with the legal system. They don't know, like, if the company is registered in Hungary, they don't understand that the legal system. They want the company to be registered in a jurisdiction which they understand well. And that's usually the reason why companies move, because this is how they can get the funding they need.
All right, I will hold my question, follow-up question to you, Andrea, maybe for a coffee one day, because this panel, this roundtable is more meant also to think from the perspective of startups. They want to learn more about how to work with you, what you like when you review many startups in your CRM, in your deal flow. But so I will hold the question. I will just mention so that all of you can know we are really interested in that. What are the intuitive moves? What are the intuitive course of actions for our countries, for our communities to solve this structural problem? But it's not for today. We have too little time and too many things which are more interesting for startups from their own entrepreneurial perspective. So maybe I will go in right now to you, Adam. Okay, your Bratislava and Slovak perspective on this one, and then we jump to another question. You can be the first one again.
And this is still the previous question, yeah?
Yeah, the previous question, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Listen, I have a very specific opinion here, and that is...
Please, we like specific opinions.
All of the V4 jurisdictions, no offense to other countries outside of Slovakia, listen, like the legislature for building a business and to investing and to building a startup, it's not there. It's not mature. It's oftentimes very opaque. It's not great, right? So basically, I think if the startup is trying to increase their chance of getting funded, especially by pan-European investors, it's always best to incorporate elsewhere in a more mature and standardized ecosystem in Europe that is mostly EU, or that's mostly in UK, or that's in US. Almost everyone creates a Delaware C Corp. Now, I think this will be solved by the new Europe Incorporated. After that is in action.
The Ursula von der Leyen initiative from back 4 or 5 weeks.
Afterwards, if it's implemented correctly, I don't see any kind of need or any kind of option for a startup that wants to be venture funded to actually have anything else than this. Of course, they can have operational entities in select countries, and that way they can also take more public funds. But this will be the standard. Then, on the question of financing and finding the money, again, I think
the later rounds money. Remember, yes?
Yeah, later rounds
seed.
money. I think there is enough money, even in CE. But you are talking about pan-European investors again, right? I don't think there is a ground for a Slovak growth investor, even if they have like a Central European thesis, because simply for a fund which is doing growth investment. And if you want to get at least to some amount of competitive deals, there is not enough deals simply, right? So you need to have, a pan-regional strategy, or at least pan-country strategy. So, at that point, you will still get into the issue that you cannot only have, a 200 or 300 million fund that is only doing like Central Europe. It's impossible. There is not enough deals to go around to actually, invest it wisely. And then I think one other topic that wasn't just touched here, but that is, not only that the companies like leave and try to get capital abroad, or whether it's from US, and just building on top of what Peter already said with the IPOs, but also on the functional help. If you look at really the big funds and the big platforms, even in Europe, if you look at like Atomico, Creandum, and if you see like what they are doing for their startups, especially like once they invest post-seed, they are really making the market. Right, they're bringing in clients, they're doing the promotion, and so it's not only about bringing the money in the region. If somebody would want to compete from here and cover this growth stage, they would also need to be competitive on this angle, which is very hard to do.
We try for many years, and actually I need to admit with a little bit of arrogancy that we are quite successful here with Design Terminal, with our partners from all 4 countries, to evangelize startuppers that their on their mother market, let's say home market, like you mentioned, Adam, Bratislava or Košice for Slovak founders, is not the Pinto de la Musica. It's not the end of the world. Yet the program V4 Startup Force, which still has open call for projects from each of our countries, by the way, and like certainly we want to attract you to make use of this chance. And very often the startups say, without your program, we felt like between, I don't know, Poland and Czech Republic, I know there are little mountains between us, but there is like in, Game of Thrones, this is very high wall, and nobody thinks about going, for example, to Kasia, to Katarzyna, to 24 Ventures, ask for capital. Can you tell me a little bit? I know you are professionals in high risk investments, but can you also play a little bit the role of psychologist or economical psychologist and explain me why for a, I don't know, Olomunit founder from Czech Republic, it's so difficult to go to Katowice or to Kraków or to Wrocław to look for investors. And the same question to you, Katarzyna. From your portfolio, how many of your startups, and you can be cruel, you can be very transparent here, how many of your startups go to Bratislava, to Budapest, or to Győr in order to find some, next round or bridge investors, angels?
For the pre-seed and seed stage, probably not many. They rather target those markets, as a target market for operations apart from Poland. But when they fundraise, maybe that's because they value network more. So they try to reach out to the funds that they can have an intro. And probably those local would be preferential due to this. But when we help, for example, our pre-seed startups to then raise next rounds, we often facilitate those communication with other funds from the region, not only from Poland.
All right, thank you. I will have the same question actually to you, Petra, Andrea, and Adam, but maybe I will also change it, or I will try to influence you in your answers. And maybe I will go here with Andrea, because we had a common project, very good project called Energeia, also for Ukrainian female founders. And I want to highlight Ukrainians. They are a special, in a way, startup or high-tech tribe. They are excellent experts, and our startups should learn from them, especially Polish startups. They are very good peregrinators, very good, movers. They are very flexible in changing places. Of course, the cruel situations they are facing actually makes them more eager to travel to European Union. I understand that, but for them it's so obvious that, for example, Kraków, it's not enough. You definitely need to go to Prague or to Budapest or to Bratislava or Bańska Bystrzyca, whatever. There are many clubs for angels. And the question remains, though, that the one that I asked Kasia, what really stops our founders from going international, like locally international? Slovakia for Hungary, it's such a close neighbor. There is, it's what, 1.5 hours to get to Bratislava by car, 2 hours by train, I checked. So what really makes us so isolated? Although it's so many years in European Union, we are even personally friends, we, the ecosystem members.
I really think that the communication between the investors and the startups is a bit broken. Usually they say if you want to talk to a VC, you need a warm recommendation, and obviously if you use all kind of networking opportunities, you will find people who will want to talk to you. But I really would like to encourage those who are starting this startup journey now that they should be doing their homework in terms of they should learn how to search for the right VCs for them, and they should look regionally, not just locally. They should understand who are the early stage investors, who are the specific industry investors, and just reach out to them. Don't wait for the warm introduction. As all the others have pointed out, this is the founders market, so there is no sufficient deal flow for VCs now. So I'm sure that if they send in a good deck, it will be reviewed, and if there's any interest, they will respond. I just would like to encourage, and in the program, I think it should be an important part of the program, how to prepare the founders, how to reach out to investors, and what kind of pitch deck will catch their attention. I think there's an opportunity for the founders there.
I can honestly admit that it is a part of a V4 Startup Force program. Really, I know, because I'm occasionally one of the mentors there, and this is also my thing. I always share the Excel tables with email addresses to people like you from other countries, and the building of the proper pitch deck, which is understandable and sexy for example, Poland. Right now, I can say, because I'm a dweller of one of the Polish cities of Warsaw, we are trying to heavily reindustrialize, and it's also an element. It should be also an element of the pitch deck. When you have a startup with a strong, let's say, deep tech solution that can be used in industry, you should understand this local context of, for example, transitions that Poland have. But I will jump very fast to Peter and Adam. Then I go with my last question, and maybe if Bernadette is kind enough, and if we have any questions from the internet, there will be time for a little interaction outside of our circle here. So Adam, and then Petr. Do you remember the question?
Yeah, I remember the question, but the thing is,
Game of Thrones.
I would be actually super worried about a startup who wouldn't go around and basically approach almost every investor that at least high level fits, their fundraising goals. So, I mean, if even a startup tells me that they have not had 20 or 200 conversations with investors for, let's say, their seed round.
200, you said 200.
At least, I mean,
it's
a numbers game.
Sir.
So it would be very weird for me to actually see a startup, like a Slovak startup, who has not tried at least all of the neighboring countries' VC funds. So if this is somebody's case, then I highly recommend you really rethink that. But why might people do something like this? I think it's cultural, and at least in Slovakia, people have not been then aggressive in building their businesses. And actually now we don't even have the people to build, because everybody's basically building abroad. Almost nobody builds here. Makes sense, because the political situation, the business environment, the talent density is simply not here, so nobody builds. But yeah, I think historically it has been cultural, that people were just really narrow-minded in how they wanted to build and fundraise. But right now, with all of the AI enablement and what you can learn, even if you type into Claude, how should I fundraise my first round? I think this would be probably the 5th sentence that you would get. Approach everybody who fits your bill.
But so cultural, Petr. But look, it was a dream of our generation to get to the non-border Europe, where you can simply just riding your bike, just forgot about word, and I'm in Slovakia. Oh my God, what happens?
Yeah, but you have to start thinking one thing, it's our dream. Second thing, it's our abilities. And the problem is really for example, the language is a problem, but if you can explain something in your language, it's still a little bit easier than in English. You have to start thinking, yes, it's not a problem in the big screen, but in the smaller screen, if you have investors from your region, sometimes it's much more easier for you, because not like the founders, but maybe your, third employee can explain something better in Czech or in Slovak. That's why I think, for example, Czech and Slovak market, it's still from the VC perspective, it's still a little bit like one market. I think many VC companies knows Slovak VC companies, etc. But it's also our problem. Let's say we are talking about founders, but how many of us recommend somebody else from the other region, from other
Good point.
countries? Seriously, if somebody from my founders start asking me about
What would you say?
I start telling them what is in my mind, and that's the closest which I spoke last week and this week, etc. It's if we will talk much more together, it's also will helps the founders, helps the investors, and we can move it. But it's about and come back to cultural problem. You have to understand in this case, in some parts we are different, and we can talk about V4, but it's not V4. It's Czech Republic have different problems than, for example, Poland. In that time you had really great funding from the government. Here in Czech Republic haven't been. We are facing right now, for example, startup law, new startup law, which can help a lot to change things. But that's the differences why you are recommending, and I think we have to start from us. That's my suggestion. We have to do this panels all together, not do the Czech Republic panels or Slovakian panels, but or Hungarian, but do all the panels, like 4 or 5 people from different regions, and start talking together. And in that case, all the founders start thinking about like.
Actually, Peter, thank you very much for that. It's a great lesson. I personally, for example, refuse to participate in a panels where there are, for example, only boys. Very rarely it happens that they are only ladies, and then I'm not actually protesting. But there are some good standards which we could implement, and maybe it's also pars pro toto lesson from V4 Startup Force. Always the proportion of experts in this program. The headquarters of our program is Budapest, but it doesn't matter because lots of things are happening online, and we can equally benefit from experts like you from all countries. So maybe we should also say in year 2026, when you organize a panel, change the language into English and invite a colleague from Slovakia or Hungary or Poland or Czechia. Lovely. My dear friends, I'm wondering if our dear director Bernie has any questions from the audience, and I'm trying to understand right now on StreamYard okay, I get it. Okay, wow, can you see the question? Many founders wonder. Let me make it full screen to see it better. Not a good idea. Many founders wonder whether they should first succeed locally before going international. We covered that a little bit, but do VC prefer regional traction first or global ambition from day one? So let's maybe allow me to maybe change it. Imagine the situation like a logical gateway. You have two similar sibling companies, like technology is the same, intellectual property rights the same, founders equally excellent. One has already traction on your local market, and the second one does not have a traction on your local market, yet it has very good, very congruent, very well planned strategy for global expansion. Which one would you talk first to? Adam.
I mean, sorry, I just was muted, but
Good.
I mean, for me, the global would be probably the one, but I mean, it really depends on the strategy, right? If your strategy is something that's purely digital, then I don't see why you should be starting with your local market unless it's consumer and some specifically set for, let's say Slovakia. But if your strategy is a regional consolidation, then, it doesn't matter, right? Or it matters that you are starting locally.
All right.
But
Thank you.
I don't see. I mean, if you're trying to build a venture type of outcome, most likely you will need to think global from day one, unless it's a regional consolidation.
Like, good. Thank you very much. It is just that very often I hear my fellow VC friends saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We like you so much. The team excellent. The technology excellent. Time to market. Yum yum yum. But sorry, you have no revenue, and how to analyze you from the discounted cash flow perspective. I come back in a year."
Listen,
Or
I mean,
something.
if somebody asks for revenue at pre-seed, I don't think that's the right pre-seed investor.
So many guys in Poland.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's also, I mean, you should, I mean, pre-seed is betting on people, right? And
Exactly.
if you have 50K revenue, like yearly, monthly, whatever, it doesn't mean that the revenue is defensible long-term, mid-term. It actually means absolutely nothing. It only helps you operationally. But if this is the decision to invest, I mean, especially in today's age, where you see the hockey stick ramp ups going from, and the virality going anywhere from like, I don't know, maybe 0 to 5 million ARR in a year, then what does the early 50K revenue do, right? I mean, you can use it as a validation, right? It's fair enough. But I mean, in pre-seed, in like true pre-seed, asking for revenue, I think it's BS.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. Andrea, to you.
I
The same question to you.
totally, I totally agree with Adam. It's there's nothing to add. Born global, that's always the preference, and that pre-seed, it's always the people that matters for any investors, and we don't even care about their Excel. It's not the Excel that will. I mean, a bit, but if it again, depending on what they're doing, and if there's already attraction, it is something that we're looking at. But yeah, it's born global. That's what is more exciting.
And any one of you, Petra and Kasia, want to handle this one, or we jump to another question?
Maybe I would just add that
please.
we called it in Poland that we have this mid-market trap, because the market is quite big, but still not probably enough big to be a global company. So we that very often have this tricky question when deciding in what to invest in.
And what you usually answer?
Well, it depends. We prefer the companies that prefer to start thinking globally from day one. But sometimes we invest in companies that start locally in Poland, but that is more connected to their strategy. For example, they're more B2C. There's some kind of supply side involved. So it depends.
Good, Petra. Anything to add here?
I would like to just mention to everybody have to start first thinking about their go-to-market strategy, and after that will connect with this global or local approach. And I think if they have good strategy in their hands and in their how they are thinking about this, that's proves you much more than if they are just local or global. If this is connected, like how Adam said, if you would like to win first, if your market is winning 3 countries like Czech, Slovakia, Hungary, Poland, whatever, and you will make a lot of money and you can be still billion company, it can be a right strategy. But if your market is US and you have to be from the beginning in US, here it's just the pilot market and you have to go to the US directly and not waste time here so much.
Thank you very much. I think we are ready for the next question, and Bernadette already. Okay, Anna Krausz is asking, and here I need to change my screen view. I am a Hungarian living in Vienna. Would it make sense for me to apply for this program? Well, I can answer actually this question as a long participating mentor and teacher for startups. Technically, only entities, companies, enterprises registered in one of our 4 beautiful countries are allowed to participate, but my good advice is, I remember not once but twice we saw some exceptions. If there is, for example, a very good explanation of your plans to move, for example, you're Hungarian, let's imagine you want to go to Hungary, then I would say contact our colleagues on V4 Startup Force Design Terminal website. You will find a link. If not, just okay. I think Bernie maybe even brought us the QR code. It's super simple. Somebody will ask you, can I promise that the answer will be today, please? Yeah, Bernie says yes. Okay, so you can go ahead with this question. It's not a stupid question, and I think that for great founders, like hopefully you are, the borders, the Austrian entity should not be a problem if you declare that, for example, you were set up a company in Hungary. So let's jump to another question. Maybe not last, but one question, if we have any. We have many questions. If a startup from the V4 region gets rejected by a VC, so you reject the project, how often is it actually about the idea and how often about the team? So I think that Adam already started that if you are pre-seed, it's all about team, but we can follow up with them. Andrea, would you start? And maybe I will upgrade this question also. Imagine you are rejecting a company. In my VC work, I had a nickname, No Go Maciek. No go magic. I was like 99% no go. Sure. So very often we reject startups. When can I come back to you after a rejection? Month too early? Year? Half a year? You go, Andrea.
First, to answer the question, it's I mean, I don't think there's a general answer to that. Sometimes, yeah, the idea can be so uninteresting that it already stops the investors to get excited about it. But usually, as we have already said before, it's usually the team what we are looking at. A good team with a good idea, with relevant expertise, and a great passion about developing something that will grow. That's something we would be interested. And yeah, teams keep coming back. I usually would say that half a year. That when I would think that you really had a time to pivot and make improvements, do come back.
Good. Thank you. Half a year reasonable time. How about you, Pedro? To this question that we see on the screen?
Yeah, I mean, uh, I think it's the time. It's not the biggest challenge. It's about how they move, how they, for example, they get. We very often give them the right feedback, and if they will not change anything based on this feedback, they can send us again and again, and it will be same. But also can be some traction, which can show, hey, what we are trying to tell you, it's proven. It's it shouldn't be like just about numbers. It should be about product or something. What they prove, and we didn't believe, and they can prove it, and that's can show us the new things. And this is super important. It's not about time, it's much more about what's happened after our last session and how they move forward.
Adam, anything to add? Because you already defined your way of thinking, saying that team is everything, but maybe
it's not everything. It's not everything, but I said it's like team outweighs revenue. But when I would be looking at the company, it's the combination of team with the right problem, right, and whether this thing can even survive the next 3 to 5 years and get to scale, which most startups can't. So this would be it in terms of like. I agree with Peter. It's not about the timing. I think it's more of a function. Have you made any significant stride or change or pivot? Is this even the same round? I mean, that's also a question. That would be the consideration. I mean, if you are coming with me in 12 months with a new round, that's function of time. If it's a that you have taken some feedback and pivoted or changed or get some traction or whatever that reason might have been, then, or maybe you are missing a co-founder and you have got that co-founder, then that's you can even show up 2 weeks later, and we can get the process ongoing again.
All right, thank you. And Kasia, your final word here.
Just to add, when we see a good team with the idea that we, for example, don't assess very high, it's quite often that they can pivot or they can do something with our feedback and come back with something else. And we don't see often projects that we rejected where was good idea and bad team. Probably those projects don't often return to us.
That's also interesting. All right, my dear friends. So maybe one last sentence, like really tweet or X long sentence about your next this season 2026 plans and investment thesis, investment policies. What would you like to invest most of all? Like if imagine I am a Harry Potter with a magical wand and I can make your deal flow shine with a particular category of startups. What would that be? We'll start with Peter, then Andrea, Kasia, and Adam. Peter.
Okay.
One category of startups. Name it. Describe it.
I will describe it. Have to be in idea stage, have to be without investors, and have to be founders who have clear idea and technical skills what they would like to do it. Ideally, they have some pre-MVP or MVP done it, but after that, we are able to invest and we are able to be partner from that time, and we will shape with them the project until the seed investment, etc., and we will give them the money if the idea will be great.
Thank you.
Ideally, B2B project.
B2B.
Yeah.
All right, I know it a bit better right now. Andrea, your one-liner, what would you love to see in your deal flow?
Yeah, I would like to see more bootstrappers, founders who are serious about their own projects and are prepared to make their own sacrifices and come back to the very clear vision why they need external money. And a good thesis about what this money will do to their project.
All right, thank you. Kasia?
So we will look for the project with at least MVP, good teams that want to set up the company in Poland and scale from Poland. And important thing is, I think, the founders who have in-depth knowledge in the market that they want to challenge.
And any verticals, Kasia, for you?
We became sector agnostic, I would say, in the last couple of months. Really, we started with only B2B SaaS AI, but now we've got even e-commerce, one marketplace, because we changed how we think about the mode of the startup.
All right, and last final words to Adam Durica.
Yeah, so for us, I mean, the thesis is, like I said, it's simple. It's physical intelligence, human resilience, and new operating norms. Underneath all of this is dual use system. So if it has also military and government application, that's more ideal. I think this is where European resilience is going in the next few years, and there will be lots of funding to be unlocked. But I think, advice for founders would be more that, I think I would think really hard whether you need investment and all, because I mean, in today's day and age of funds, I mean, if you cannot reasonably at least or have the ambition to go for multi-billion or for a quick exit, I mean, it's one or the other. Don't even raise VC. It doesn't even make sense to go and ask for capital, because it gets you killed. Like, why would you then why would you set up your business in a way that's reliant on external capital if you cannot go all the way or sell quickly, when you can right now bootstrap almost anything you are building. Of course, hardware is a little bit different, but still, I would really think long and hard whether VC is even the right path to go and build.
VC guy says.
Yes, because I mean, it's also for us, I mean, if you are basically wasting time on somebody who's trying to build 100 million company, it doesn't make sense for me to even talk to somebody like that. Not that I'm not interested, but let's say if I have to return my 100 million fund, that means each individual company has to have an exit potential of anywhere from 2 to 10 billion, ideally, if I, let's say, keep at least 5% stake. So, I mean, from this perspective, it only makes sense if you want to go all the way or sell quickly.
All right, so at least few surprises that the expression dual use popped up only in 65th minute of our discussion. Usually right now in Poland, we start with dual use, like, hello, welcome in the panel, dual use, dual use, dual use. But in our roundtable, it emerged a bit later. The second thing is maybe VC is not your path, but if you want to determine what the path is the best for you, at least to talk with tiny bit more experienced colleagues, exited founders, multiple founders, or perpetual founders, venture capital investors, business angels, experts from intellectual property, from pricing, from marketing strategy, from pre-investment process, come to V4 Startup Guide. We only have call for projects open for really few hours right now, only for a few hours. So make use of that. Thank you very much, guys, for being with us. Your wisdom really made my day. I think we need to ask Bernie to organize another such a session, I think with the same actors, because you were absolutely outstanding. Again, Adam Durica, Kasia Kowalczyk, Petr, Jan, and Andrea Kozma from Slovakia, Poland, Czech Republic, and Hungary. My name was and still is Maciej Sadowski. Thank you very much for being with us. And let's find our guests on LinkedIn. I believe they will not refuse to accept an invitation from good founders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maciej. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for being here.